The Catholic Church is almost 2,000 years old and is one of the oldest groups in the world. Catholics believe their church is a direct continuation of early Christianity, not just a branch or follower. But some people disagree with this idea. In this video, we'll start where Catholics think their church began, with Jesus Christ. We'll also look at how the Roman Catholic Church started, which some other Christian groups say is the real beginning of Catholicism. According to St. John, Jesus Christ is the eternal Son of God because he is divine. His mission is to save the world. But Jesus is also human, born as Jesus of Nazareth. So, he has two natures, one divine and one human. Together, these make him the perfect man, full of virtue and goodness. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, in Judea, sometime between 6 and 4 BCE. Many believe he was born during the reign of Caesar Augustus, the first Roman emperor. We don't know much about his childhood, but some writings try to fill in the gaps. Jesus began his public mission around the age of 30. He was baptized by John the Baptist, marking the start of his role as the Messiah. But his public work lasted only about 3 years. These 3 years are the most important in the history of Christianity and Catholicism. Jesus was a Jew and learned Jewish teachings. His teachings were based on Jewish beliefs, but he gave them new meaning. He chose 12 apostles, who were also Jews, and 70 or sometimes 72 disciples, who were Gentiles, non-Jews. These were common people, fishermen and workers. He didn't choose scholars or leaders, and he didn't focus on the rich and powerful. He spent time with sinners, thieves, and those looked down upon. He traveled through Palestine and towns near the Sea of Galilee, teaching with power and authority. People loved him and followed him willingly. He had no formal training as a teacher. He relied on his intuition and experience to guide his followers. Jesus' mission reached its peak when he entered Jerusalem. By then, he was known as a political and religious troublemaker, especially to the Romans. Most of what we know about Jesus comes from the Gospels written by Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. The Gospels weren't meant to be exact biographies, but to convince readers of his divine nature. They were written about 40 to 70 years after his death. The authors didn't claim to know Jesus personally. They wrote down what people remembered about him. This shared memory helped form the Catholic Church. The Christian faith began with the belief in Jesus' resurrection. Before that, Jesus was seen as the Messiah within Judaism. Early Christianity wasn't like it is today. It was a branch of Judaism, and its followers were part of a Jewish group that believed in a coming Messiah. Resurrection wasn't a new idea in Judaism, so early Christians didn't see themselves as starting a new religion. They thought Jesus' resurrection gave new meaning to their faith. At this point, Christianity wasn't its own religion. It was a group within Judaism. The apostles spread new ideas within Judaism, not a new faith. They stayed faithful to the temple and Jewish law. But not all Jewish leaders liked this new group and the belief that Jesus was the promised Messiah. Christianity didn't spread quickly. It grew gradually. First, it reached Jewish communities around the Mediterranean Sea. As the apostles feared persecution in Jerusalem, they spread their faith to other places. When the first Christians reached Antioch, in modern-day Turkey, the spread of the church grew rapidly and changed history. This was one of the first places where Gentiles were baptized, and the faith spread beyond Jewish communities. Paul is seen as the most important person of the apostolic age. The New Testament has 27 books, and Paul wrote 14 of them, known as the Pauline epistles. Some may have been written by his students, but at least 7 are definitely his work. To appeal to non-Jews, Paul removed Jewish elements from the teachings and made them more attractive to everyone. He saw Christianity as freedom from the strict laws of Judaism and believed that faith in Jesus was enough for salvation. Around 50 CE, the Council of Jerusalem was held. The main goal was to decide about the Gentiles. Peter spoke positively about them, saying that both Jews and non-Jews could be saved through Jesus' grace. Peter is important in the Christian faith. Jesus gave him a special role, so he is seen as the foundation of the Catholic Church. The Bishop of Rome, or the Pope, is considered Peter's successor. The council decided that Gentiles didn't have to follow all Jewish laws. Many traditionalists were okay with this, but some disagreed. The Roman authorities arrested Paul, which actually saved him from conservative Jews. Paul asked Emperor Nero to move him to Rome. The Romans couldn't allow a new, unified version of Judaism to spread. They saw it as a threat to their religion and order. Paul was eventually sentenced to death in Rome and was beheaded. But Christianity kept spreading, and by the end of the 1st century, it was well established. As for when the Catholic faith officially started, that's a matter of debate. Catholics believe the Catholic Church was established 50 days after Jesus' crucifixion, on Pentecost. For the first 60 years or so, it was called the Way. But by the early 2nd century, the word Catholic began to be used. One of the earliest uses of the word comes from a letter written by Saint Ignatius in 108. So, Catholics consider the Apostolic Age as part of their church's history. Some historians disagree, saying that Constantine founded the Catholic Church in the 4th century. They believe there's no clear line from the apostles to the Pope, and that problems in the Church existed even in the 1st and 2nd centuries. They say the first official Catholic Church was the Roman Catholic Church, founded in the 4th century. The spread of Christianity among pagans, even though it was persecuted for 3 centuries, was remarkable. One popular idea is that its message of love made it popular. Christians cared for everyone, not just the rich, but also workers, slaves, sinners, prisoners, soldiers, travelers, orphans, widows, and anyone in need. Christianity had high moral standards, but it didn't brag about it. It was a religion of peace and love. Many converted pagans, like philosophers Tatian and Justin, said they were drawn to Christianity because of its morals. There was a hierarchy in the church for missionaries, apostles, and other leaders. By the 2nd century, it had officials like bishops, priests, and deacons. This organization formed after the first epistle of Clement. The church built its structure on 3 things: the bishops, who were the apostles' direct successors, the scriptures, and the creed. Over the years, the Church of Rome became more important than other churches because it claimed to be the place of Saints Paul and Peter. It became even more powerful when Roman emperors, especially Constantine, adopted Christianity. In 313, Constantine met with Licinius, who ruled part of the empire, and they agreed on complete religious tolerance. The Edict of Milan allowed Christians to be free, get back their property, and practice their religion openly. This was a major milestone. Gradually, Constantine started suppressing paganism. At first, he still acted as the leader of the pagan religion and honored the sun god. But later, he began showing Christian symbols and putting limits on pagan rituals. Tradition says he converted to Christianity in 312. Constantine fully accepted Christians when he saw that the state's interests were the same as the church's interests. He wanted unity between the state and the church and used his power to get involved in religious matters. In 324, he became the sole ruler of the entire empire. In 325, he gathered over 200 bishops at the First Council of Nicaea. He was personally involved in the debates, but the issues weren't easily settled and continued to cause problems, until his death in 337. If you ask when Catholicism started, you'll get different answers. Some say it began when Constantine united the state and the church. Others trace the Pope's lineage back to Peter and the early church leaders. There's no simple answer, and people have argued about this for centuries. Like any religion, there's no complete agreement. Catholics believe their church was founded by Jesus himself, and they draw their spirit from ancient times and early traditions. The popes felt it was their duty to keep the faith pure, and they did that by keeping old doctrines, teachings, and traditions. Others claim that Catholicism may have started as a branch between the 1st and 4th centuries, but didn't come directly from Jesus. To learn more about how Catholicism started, check out our book, Catholic History, a captivating guide to the history of the Catholic Church, starting with the teachings of Jesus Christ through the Roman Empire and Middle Ages to the present. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. Also, get your free Mythology Bundle ebook while it's still available. All links are in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.